Hi guys, Robbie K here, and welcome to another Robbie's Movie Reviews. Tonight, we're taking on the new comedy that's hit on a classic series. I'm getting ahead of myself. Welcome to Robbie's Movie Reviews. Thank you very much for checking out my, essentially my site. Sorry for tripping over the words, it's been a long week. Tonight, if you're new to the site, again, thank you for joining. I do a quick trailer review that's not any spoilers that aren't already free game in the trailer. I do a quick review to kind of get you in and out. That'll give you a score. And then if you want to hear more of the details of what I liked and disliked, then stick around for kind of the later end of it, and we'll go from there. So, in regards to it, tonight we're going over Tyler Perry's legendary figure, Madea. And as you know, the woman has been through a number of media. Cartoons, yes, believe it or not, a cartoon. Stage shows, and a variety of movies in a variety of settings. And a lot of people are, you either love her or you hate her. But I'm one of those that tries to fall in between the group so that we can hopefully come out and enjoy the movie for the best part of it while hoping to improve on some things. So, as a result, tonight we talk about Madea's Family Funeral, another Tyler Perry classic from his studios. What's the verdict? Well, stick around to find out. The trailer, and pretty much from the title, is Madea and her crew have another part of their extended family going through more drama, this time in the case of a death in the family. And as such, Madea and her zany group of friends, in all their glory and spectacular, are put in charge of kind of coordinating and helping them through this grieving time period. And you can guess pretty much the chaos that is at hand. I think that's about all I can say, because we gotta really be careful since there are some other components into there. But nevertheless, let's get to the actual review, the quick version. Turns out Madea's Family Funeral, despite it being the umpteenth one added to the mix, still has some fun gimmicks and gags to it. I will definitely say that I was laughing through a lot of the jokes, and the theater was laughing so hard that sometimes it was difficult to hear the movie. So you can guess that if you like this brand of humor, you're going to be rolling on the floor laughing, because he pulled out all the stops for the supposedly final movie to his collection. It's still got a lot of the same comedy style. It's got a few new gimmicks to it, but something to appreciate is another couple of the classic side stories that help kind of add some depth to what's already a very simplistic beaten to death franchise. Sounds good, but that's about all we've got there. In regards to that though, if you're one of those that just can't stand a Madea comedy, then you don't want to go to this one, because pretty much that's all this is. It's got the same type of styles. It's predictable, and sometimes it's a little too much in terms of it, that it can be a little bit dragging at times. And nevertheless, to be almost 2 hours is probably a little bit of a runtime, a lengthy runtime that's not quite what I would expect. I would have probably been okay with about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 20. But nevertheless, if you like this series, this one supposedly goes out on a real style and grandeur, including his usual blooper reel at the end. So if you love those, stick around. You're going to find them about midway through the credits, and you can leave. So what does it get? Well, to be fair to the series, to look at it and understand the genre, I'm going to give the comedy probably about a 7, given that I think they did well for their final one. If you're looking for a movie overall, and this is just looking at originality and all the components I've said in my first review time when I was filming, it's about a 5 or a 6, to be honest. And there's nothing bad with that. It's a formula that has been done a little too much and needs a little bit of spice. But that's why it's a movie overall, and its comedy genre, I still enjoy. And I can probably even say, in terms of the Madeas, and just looking at Madea itself, probably about the 8.5 mark if you're looking at it as just a Madea film. Now, in regards to what I liked and disliked, first of all, if you're done with the reviews, head on out now. But if you want to hear a little more of the in-depth components, then stick around, because here we go. Madea's components, in terms of the Family Funeral, start with, I like Tyler Perry as an actor. Very similar to how Eddie Murphy did a lot of his multi-characters and some of his most classic sketches. Essentially, I like how Tyler Perry can do his as well. And to be himself as a kind of a serious character, and of course all the zany other characters he plays, it works super well for me, and I give him props. He's funny, he delivers his lines beautifully, and with those accents you can't help but chuckle, again, if you like that style. The writing, surprisingly, is good for me. Part of it is definitely the same kind of banter and very inappropriate, aggressive humor, but there are some very good, well-timed, well-delivered one-liners that had me rolling. And they're just the simplest stuff, no clever analogies or acronyms. So I love the fact that he knows how to kind of balance his writing. As I mentioned earlier, in terms of his supporting cast, they again do well. If you love Aunt Bam is there in full glory. If you love Hattie, who's not my favorite character, she's there again in all her high-pitched squealing hypersexuality mode that she's become famous for. The other, I guess you would say, less made-up, pretty cast that Tyler Perry usually includes has a blend of physical looks as well as the usual style of acting that goes well with this movie's themes. And it brings characters that at least have some layers to them, although they needed to be fleshed out. We'll get into that in kind of the areas of improvement for me. For the most part, the pace works pretty well at times, and I gotta give them props that they actually integrated the usual Tyler Perry drama story into it and sort of intertwined the two of funny comedy relief meeting usual Tyler Perry drama and semantics. It works. It's relevant. It's got a lot of components to it that are both entertaining and a good thought-provoking lesson. So, kudos to them for that. In regards to kind of the to anything else, again, there's some catchy music to it, some definite attitude and soul, and if you love that sass to characters, Medea's traditional formula is there. And if you love that, and that's something I like, he finds a way to ground it into the tradition, the thing that made the series the way it was, and still find some new gimmicks or new characters to add on to expand upon those characters. And that's what I liked about it, because Tyler Perry knows how to do that well in most of his movies that he's done with this series. And I just think it works extremely well. Outside of that, that's about all the likes that I really had for me that I can think of. In terms of areas of improvement, well, here's some of the stuff. The banter comedy is great, but sometimes it gets too long-winded and too dragged out. And sometimes the way he delivers it in his gruff voice, things get lost, especially when you incite laugh. To kind of cram joke after joke after joke after joke into those kind of components, you have to go back and rewatch it, which may be a brilliant move or may be annoying depending on who you are. For me, it's a little bit of both, and not being able to hear some of the comedy means it's just one of those things that I think he still needs to improve on. But hey, that's the traditional part. The drama, unfortunately, is something that I'm getting old on because it's just kind of recycled plots and stories. Tyler Perry knows how to pick those articles and turn to soap opera that people will really get into, and as my audience members are doing, bring some sass and talk to the theater. That's probably more entertaining sometimes than the scene and sequence itself. But again, for me, it's a tried and true one, and maybe would have liked a little more originality. And surprisingly for this one, to not have his characters a little more fleshed out is something that I was looking for. Everybody kind of goes through their own changes very quickly. And I think it's just because there were too many cast members in there and too many characters for him to really focus on and get out of the superficial kind of we're not going into too much details, but we're going to give you the same old story. So the originality takes some big hits for me. And if you really don't care about originality and just want the same Madea comedy, then you'll say, Robbie, you're absolutely wrong with this one. And that's fine. As I said, sometimes the movie felt a little long-winded, a little long in terms of sequences and scenes themselves. Sort of dragged on and like molasses just dragged. And that's okay if that's what you want, is just more one-liners. But there were times where editing could have done its job and left it for a director's cut. Which is sad, but I kind of go with it. So I would have probably liked it. And maybe it's just because I'm tired that I felt it was longer, so I am going to factor that in. But I think the editing could have come in here to leave it for director's cut moments. I probably could have used, again, a little more originality and maybe a little more dynamic terms in comedy. But otherwise, I can't say that I'm really disappointed with this film. You've heard the scores. So overall, is it worth it? Ironically, I'm going to say yes. That this is probably worth a trip to the theater because it's got the soul, it's got the fun, and it has got a wonderful kind of finale to what Medea's legacy has brought. It sticks to tradition, but still has enough newness factor to be worth it. And if you're looking to go with friends, by yourself, or with a big group like half the people did tonight, then you're going to enjoy this movie out the wazoo and enjoy it in the surround sound theater quality. But if not, and you're a Madea fan, check this one out. It's not my favorite of the bunch, but it's on the higher end of the spectrum. As a result, my friends, I'd say Madea has closed her books if she's actually doing it very well. And you've heard the scores, so I think that's all I've got for it. As a result, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for being a part of it. And let me know how I can improve and bring some discussion to the group. Again, I'd like to try to hopefully hit 200 views on this. It would be great. And please share, like, help me make this better if possible. As a result, have a good night, my friends. Bye.